Okay, hi. Welcome to the tutorial on how to create a simple oak tree chopper with my BotSuite bot. BotSuite is one of the newest bots on Roommate, designed by me, and it is basically a middleman between the developer, the bot developer, and the end user. So pretty much as it stands, you have to request a bot for it to be made, or just wait for a bot author to create it. However, this bot allows you to create your own custom bots exactly how you want it, right from inside the client itself. The limitations are endless. It is all completely down to how you think and how you are able to structure things in your head. So basically, we're going to create a oak tree cutter today, and I'm going to walk you through each step how to do that and explain how all the different features work inside of BotSuite. So let's load it up. So it's best to think about the structure of this bot as a binary tree, as a complete binary tree. So where you have the very starting point, and this starting point will be a condition which will either be true or false. It can only be one, and it can't be none or both. So this condition will either return true, and that will go to the next one on the right, the next action on the right, or it will go to the one on the left, and so on and so forth for each of the nodes. And these end ones are just actions. They don't have to validate anything, they just do something. And that's the structure that we bot developers use on Roommate. So to get started, we want to create a start checkpoint. Simple as that, just so we know where our start is and we can return to it at any point in our code. And there we go. Very first action done. So if we think about it, an oak tree chopper is two things. It's banking and it's cutting. We're not dropping anything. That's not what this bot is about. And it's just simply an oak tree chopper and an oak log banker. That's it. So what we want to do, we want to create a banking checkpoint if your inventory is full, because that's how a human knows when to bank. So go to if the inventory is full. We just do banking. That's it. We haven't created the banking checkpoint yet, but we will do that very soon. We also want to do the same for cutting, but we don't want to do it when it's full. We want to do it when the inventory is not full, because that means we still have space for logs, and that means we can still cut. So we want to add that. You'll note, if you've been very observant, there is a tray notification on every successful action addition. That is if you have tray notifications added in your client, obviously. So we've got to go to labels, and now we need to create the two checkpoints. So if we create a checkpoint, cutting is already filled out, banking 2. There we go. Simple as that. And obviously, as you can see, you can move the actions throughout easily, very easily. You can click start from, which will mean you start from this action, stuff like that. All very fluent in the bot. So for the banking checkpoint, we need to think of two things. Are we inside the banking area? If we're not, we need to walk to it. And if we are, we need to interact with the bank. So let's just assume that we're inside the banking area for now. That's the easiest way to do it. So we need to open the bank. This doesn't just mean click bank on the bank booth. This just means have we either clicked on the bank booth and it is about to open, or is the bank already open? So you can use open bank at any point where there is a bank around, or even if you're already inside the bank and have the bank interface open. So the next step, you want to deposit your inventory, because you've got a lot of logs and you want to get rid of them all. And then you want to close the bank. That's it. That's it. That's all you want to do. And then you want to go back to the start, because our start node, our start action is the root of it all. That's where it stems from, and that's how you're going to get the most efficient bot. So we're going to go back to the start. Very simple. Easy, like that. We'll just move this create checkpoint cutting out of the way. So we assumed that we're in the bank, but that's not always right, because we might be in the log cutting area. In fact, if we're going to be interacting with the bank, we will most likely have already been in the banking area, in the cutting area, sorry. So we need to figure out a way to get to the bank area. So we can create a checkpoint called walk to bank, maybe, however you want to name it. I'm not very creative. So there we go, walk to bank. And this will pretty much just hold the data for walking to the bank, funnily enough. So we need to create a circular area. You can name this whatever. Bank, I'm just going to name it bank. Set the radius to 5 maybe. 1, 2, 3, maybe, okay, we'll do 4. 4, why not? And we need the center coordinate, so it's pretty much where your player is going to be standing. There we go, populated, add location, that's it. And then, so if you click walk to, and then in there, you can just click bank. That's it, I already have some locations done from testing, but we're using bank for this time. So walk to bank. So pretty much the walk to action isn't, again, it's like the open bank. It's not just opening the bank, it is checking if you're in that location. If it is, great, you'll move on to the next action. If it's not, it will walk there until you are in that location. So walk to bank, all sorted. And now we need to go back to the start. So we'll just go into miscellaneous, go to checkpoint, start. Easy does it. That's it. That's our walking to the bank. We've created our location, we've walked to it, and now we need to go back to the start. So we'll go back to the banking checkpoint, and we need to check if we're in the bank. So we can use go to if in area. If not in area, I think the not in area is the correct one. So we need to write our go to label, which is walk to bank. If not in area, and the value is bank. So this is the area that we're going to be checking that we're in. Simple as that. So we can move that all the way up to the very first action after creating the checkpoint, because we can't open the bank if we're not in area. So we need to check that we're in the area first before we start. Okay, so I think we're done with the banking section and the going to the banking section. We can now start with the cutting process. So to do this, again, you're going to want to just get to the area, and you're going to want to do some data analysis. You want to have a look at the object name, you want to have a look at the action name, and these are all case sensitive, by the way. This all works on case sensitivity, so type it exactly how you see it. So we can do object name is oak, and the action is chop down. Very simple. You have a few options. We could do interactive, not animating, but we also have a delay if animating action in here. So it will automatically stop when you've stopped wood cutting. Instead, this one waits until you've stopped until you cut again. It's a very minuscule difference, but in the performance of the bot, you will notice it. So we're going to do interact, and there we go. We've added it on. So we have interact chop down. We're going to put this inside our cutting checkpoint. So the cutting checkpoint, much like the banking checkpoint, will hold the data for these actions. This will be kind of like a group. So anything inside these, because we finish it with a go-to checkpoint at the start. So we go to the start at the end of each of them. These are kind of like, this is a method. This is a set of instructions to execute. So we've interacted with the tree. Very simple. Now, to prevent some spam clicking, we're going to need to delay if animating. It's a very simple check. It will check if you're animating within about 1 to 3 seconds or so. If you are, it will continue waiting and waiting and waiting, but if you're not, then it will do whatever's next, which we're going to do right now. So we are going to go back to the start. That's how this works. Go to checkpoint, start. Very simple. Very simple stuff. But you will notice that in our banking area, in our banking checkpoint, we checked if we're in the area. So we need to do exactly the same with cutting, because otherwise we're going to close the bank. We'll have no items in our inventory. So we'll go to the cutting checkpoint, and then we'll try to interact with a tree whilst we're still in the bank. That won't work. Not at all. So again, we need to create a area. Again, I could use a rectangular area, but generally for woodcutting, I'd recommend using a circular area. So you can just type trees, radius. We'll give it a radius of 10 maybe. That's pretty generic. That's wide enough to have a lot of trees in, but not wide enough so that you wander too far. And again, we need to get our center coordinate and add the location. Simple. Walk to trees. Done and done. There we go. Walk to trees. But we haven't created our go-to label for it. So we need to create a checkpoint. Walk to trees. There we go. And we need to move that up a little bit. Walk to the trees. And then we need to go back to the start, like we have done all the time. Go to checkpoint, start. Simple as that. So we need to do a check to see if we're in the area. So go to if not in area. We need to go to walk to trees, if not in area, trees. Like we've done all the time. And that is pretty much it so far. So we've got our starting checkpoint, and if our inventory is not full, we are going to go to banking. So if our inventory is full, we're going to go to banking. If it's not full, we're going to go to cutting. Our banking checkpoint houses an area check. So we're going to walk to the bank if we're not already in the bank. We're going to open that bank, deposit the inventory, and close it, and then go back to the start. By that point, our inventory will not be full, so we need to go to the cutting checkpoint. In this cutting checkpoint, we will check if we're in the trees area. If we are, we will interact with the oak tree, and we're going to delay until we're done. Then it will go back and start again. And then by the time we're finished cutting 4 or 5 trees, our inventory will be full. And if we're not in either of these areas, we're going to have a checkpoint called walk to bank and walk to trees, which will do exactly that. We'll walk to those areas. So if we just cycle through it, you can clearly see each of the current actions being highlighted in green. So we're going to interact with a tree, and that's exactly what we've just done. Currently cutting, getting some logs, and we're currently delaying whilst we're animating. And that is pretty much it. The limitations are endless. It is all down to how you think in your brain. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck.